Good evening, Assalamu alaikum, and welcome to Sports Extra. I'm your host Ahmad Nawaz. The ICC T20 World Cup 2021 is underway in the UAE and Oman. We're seeing a very exciting encounter when we talk about the group that is the group of death, as it's been called, because it's so uncertain there who's going to qualify. Australia is taking on Sri Lanka in this all-important encounter. But of course, if we talk about the match itself, it's very important for the placement of that group as well, because Sri Lanka is occupying second position. If they manage to beat Australia, they'll have further chances to qualify for the next round. As far as Australia is concerned, if they beat Sri Lanka, they'll also be in contention to qualify. England is on top of the group. There's the points table that we're talking about. England, Sri Lanka, Australia, South Africa, Bangladesh and West Indies. England with 4 points, Sri Lanka, Australia with 2 points each. Whoever wins takes 4 points and goes to number 2 place. As far as Pakistan is concerned, tomorrow they're facing Afghanistan. Another very important match because Afghanistan is being rated as having the best spin attack in this World Cup. As far as Pakistan is concerned, Pakistan is coming with tremendous momentum. They've won 2 games out of 2, beaten India in a high-intensity game, beaten New Zealand in a game that went almost right down to the wire. So Pakistan would want to win against Afghanistan because Afghanistan is another solid team in this World Cup. So Pakistan, if they win this, then they're pretty much through to the semi-finals, and they'll have a more solid position then. Afghanistan, on the other hand, would want to win this match. They treat it as a very aggressive game against Pakistan. They're coming off with a big victory against Scotland as well, but this is their first real challenge, so they want to pull it off as well. And then, of course, after the T20 World Cup, we'll be talking about Pakistan Shaheens, who are on a tour to Sri Lanka, where they had the better of Sri Lanka A. They picked up quick wickets. This is the start of their tour, and so far it's going pretty well. So we'll be talking about the importance of A tours as well. To discuss this in studios, we've been joined by cricket expert Syed Mohammad Owais. Assalamu alaikum, Owais. How are you?
How are you, Ahmad?
I'm very well. Good to have you on the show. First of all, let's talk about the game that is going to happen tonight. Australia versus Sri Lanka. We understand Australia is a top-class team, but has Sri Lanka impressed you this time?
Sri Lanka has been doing good, I would say. I mean, it was unfortunate that because of they played that qualifying rounds, and they're one of the teams. You have always seen them in the major tournaments, and they went through that qualifying round, and I would say that actually helped them to continue that momentum what they had done in the qualifying rounds. Today's match again would be it would be obviously a tough match for them because they have to keep themselves up the group, and obviously they have an eye because that group, even if it's called basically a group of death. So it's going to be a tough match between both of the teams. Sri Lanka, they actually have an edge on the other team. It's because of the mystery spinner what they have, and especially they are batting way down. I would say they're batting really good, the Sri Lankans, and this wicket actually suits them a lot. I know the Australian players have been much into the IPL. They have been over there from past 1.5 years. Remember, David Warner, Finch are not in that, I would say, prime form what Australia wanted. Maxwell has been doing a fabulous job for them. So it's going to be a bat versus ball game for me.
Now that's very important to discuss the outcome of this match, because obviously 2 teams are going to qualify for the semi-finals, and obviously if Pakistan inshallah are going through, they need to see where they lie in the group as well. Talking about this further, we've been joined on Sports Extra by cricket commentator and expert Ali Younis. Ali, assalamu alaikum, welcome to Sports Extra.
Walaikum assalam, Ahmad. Thank you for having me once again.
Right, let's talk about the Australia-Sri Lanka game first. We understand Australia is a quality side, but my question to you would be the same, that are you impressed with the way Sri Lanka have come up in this tournament?
Yes, most definitely. I think they've been unbeaten till now. Played associate teams very nicely. But if you talk about this match particularly, I think Australia would hold the edge because of their experience. These are not the pitches. I know Sri Lanka is a dangerous side. They got the mystery spinner. Their batsmen are scoring runs. But over here in UAE, we've seen that experience matters a lot. And Australian side is an experienced side. Got David Warner, especially their bowling lineup also, which has been led by Mitchell Starc. So I think they still have the edge of experience towards Australia, and they should play better and they should win it from Sri Lanka today.
I agree, and I definitely think that the tournament is all about excitement, and that's what's coming to the table. Now, probably Sri Lanka have been going through a tough phase with some of their key players missing out. For me, it's frankly a completely new side when I see it. So there's still a lot in this side that can help them go through various rounds as well. But obviously, if we talk about this group particularly, Owais, then it's got top quality sides, and all of them are almost neck and neck if you talk about the first 4.
That's why I said, I mean, it's group of death. Actually, I know that as a Pakistani, we are speaking about our group, but if you just watch out the other group, that's more exciting for you. Australia, England, Sri Lanka, all in one group. I mean, even South Africa you got. So it's one of the toughest group, I would say, and it would be interesting to watch which two teams come up, because I know that, like I told, I mean, Australia hasn't been in good form, I would say, in the last match. You know, the way David Warner...
They almost lost to South Africa, almost.
But you know one thing, Ahmad bhai, I mean, they're one of the teams which actually adapt to conditions very quickly, adapt to the conditions, I would say. I remember even the match against West Indies, I remember, they basically, if it could have been a score around 130, 140, I would say 150, it could have been a tough total for Australia to chase on. So that's the thing I'm saying on that. They have got everything in it. It's just that batting comes back into the form, but it's going to be again bat versus ball, because if you just compare the batting lineup of Sri Lanka, I know the Kusal Mendes has not been in good form for them, but the other new batsmen who have actually come from the under-19
It's happening at the Dubai Sports Stadium. So you know, what can we expect there?
So you know, Dubai Sports City, actually again, it's the dew factor at night. So it's going to be, I would say, the toss would obviously matter a lot over here. Which team wins on obviously goes for fielding first. So it's going to depend what the Sri Lankan team would do, because again, I would say that mystery spinner is going to be a mystery for the Australians, because Australians, what I've seen still now in the IPL 2, I would say they haven't been good against the spin bowling lineup. Even Smith hasn't been that good against spin bowling lineup. So it's going to be a quality spin versus the batting of Australia.
Very important factors indeed up for grabs in this game as well. Ali Younis, I think we realize what Mickey Arthur is bringing to the table for Sri Lanka, but especially as far as a game against Australia is concerned, would you agree that he would really want to win this game?
Yes, most definitely. I think the group they are in, if they can beat Australia, I think they'll be hot favorites to make it to the semi-finals, because of their strength naturally, and the conditions in UAE will suit them. This is their main test. This is their biggest test, because if they beat Australia here, I think that will it will take them close to the semi-final spot and give them a lot of confidence that this side can beat big teams. And Australia is not a sport. They've got superstars in them, especially in T20. If you talk about Maxwell, Owais, I think Warner, everybody, they're T20 specialists. So it will be very tough for Sri Lanka, but I think if they can manage to beat them, get to semi-finals will brighten.
Ali Younis, do you think some lack of experience might be the trouble for Sri Lanka tonight if Australia are able to choke them in whatever domain, be it taking quick wickets, be it putting a charge on their bowlers? This might just work against them.
Yeah, that's the only worry I have for is their inexperience. That especially in their batting, they're pretty good in their bowling. They've got variety in their bowling lineup, especially in these conditions. Their inexperience in batting lacks a lot. The three players being back just World Cup, and that was just lost. That hurted them a lot. If they were here, I would have definitely 50. But at the moment, I think it's a game.
But one thing,
yes, Owais, you'd like to add to that?
I'll tell you one thing. If you just watch out the match against Bangladesh, what I loved about Sri Lanka was that they were actually aggressive. Remember?
Attacked, yes.
Attacked. That's the plus point what you can do in
But
this
you've got to give credit to Bangladesh. They had some good fielding there.
I mean, see, it's unfortunate to see Bangladesh not performing well, because Ahmad, if you just watch out from past 2 to 3 years, this is one of the teams I would say they're actually missing Tamim Iqbal.
Yes, absolutely.
In the batting order. They haven't been able to adjust without him. I know they have got plenty of openers. Mahmoodullah is there. They got Mushfiqur Rahim, Saqib, Linton Das. They have got that bunch of cricketers, but not able to execute what they want in the UAE conditions. You know, Tamim Iqbal was one of the premium batsmen for them in this kind of conditions, who has played a lot of PSL over there. If you just watch out Sri Lanka, I mean, what I loved was that they were aggressive approached. Remember, Kusal Mendes was gone early on, but the other batsmen coming up, who especially are from the under-19 category, they played aggressive cricket. They never let the Bangladesh to actually get more pressurized on them. So this is the plus point what I would say. Secondly, when you're playing at the Dubai Sports City wicket, what even I was telling you of, these wickets are actually, I would say, the front foot players. I mean, you just can't go on your back foot. That would be a crime over here. Even if you watch out, I know it was in the Sharjah wicket where Rizwan was playing. When Rizwan was LBW, remember, he was back, that just got into LBW position. So this is one of the wickets, I would say, which are basically meant for the front foot players, and especially the ball would turn over here in the first innings.
Very important. Very important. I just want to take this with Ali Younis as a final point for this one. Then we'll move on to our game. How important is Marcus Stoinis for Australia right now? Because when we saw Smith, Maxwell, Mitchell Marsh, all of them failing and going back, couldn't hang on to their wickets. It was Stoinis who provided stability down the order. How important is that element for Australia?
Yeah, I think he's a very, very crucial part of their Australian side. His ability to hit the ball, I think, is a very strong man who can hit it a long way. His advantage. And starting at 6, I think that suits him, and the conditions will matter because it's easier for battle at number 5 or 6, because when the ball gets old, it gets for batters. So that's what he does to the team. He creates that balance for Australian team, and very crucial part alongside Glenn Maxwell. I think these player will play a crucial part today if Australia has to win the game.
Very important indeed, and we know how important these factors are. Owais, now coming to our game, and I know it's a very important game once again. We're battling Afghanistan. Each and every game for Pakistan has been a test. So far, they've done well. Owais, rate Afghanistan as an opposition this time.
If you just rate them by 10, I would say, because I've played a lot of matches against them, I would go by 9 by 10. You know why? 1%, no, because of the batting. I was telling you off-air one thing. When you play against Afghanistan, even in the non-test nations, when they used to play qualifying rounds, they were one of the teams who were aggressive. I would say they used to lack in between, I would say, a batsman who could actually stabilize their innings. If 2 to 3 comes up, stabilize the innings. I remember they used to have Nawaz Mangal, who was the ex-captain. He was a good guy, or Noor Ali, who used to stable the innings. But if you just watch out this bunch of cricketers, they're more aggressive and they're playing good, I would say, the cricket what they're playing on. The real threat for me, many of the the cricket spectators do say that we have beaten top 2 teams. Why are we afraid? It's not being afraid, it's actually looking at the approach of Afghanistan, because that's their home ground. They have played more cricket than Pakistan in the UAE conditions. I remember when I was playing for UAE, they used to play over there for Sharjah. In the Sharjah stadium was their home ground. Dubai Sports City was built after that. They used to practice more in Abu Dhabi and Sharjah. Sharjah was basically the home ground, I would say. They know that decision, I would say, the pitch from any other team.
Almost like a home ground.
They know that much better, I would say. It's just the spin bowling lineup. I know Rashid Khan hasn't been, I would say, a good against Pakistan, but the threat is there still. The other, I would say, especially Nabi is there, because the plus point what they have is that they have played a lot of cricket with the Pakistan cricketers in the PSL. They know how they perform, and even the Pakistani players know how they perform. So it's going to be, I would say, a battle between spin bowling, because spin would obviously play a crucial role in Dubai wicket.
Ali Younis, your take on the game that Pakistan have tomorrow. Obviously, we cannot rate Afghanistan as an easy opposition, but what do you think Pakistan is going to do?
I think he was very generous when he gave 9 points to Afghanistan winning this game. I don't think 9 points. In my opinion, they're still at 5, because they lack a lot of things. I mean, there's a lot of difference between Pakistan and Afghanistan still. I agree they have got two quality spinners, fine, but against Pakistan, one finger spinner, I don't think so. We already saw Chakrabarti struggling against Pakistan, because we play those finger spinners very good. And yes, I totally agree that Rashid Khan is definitely a threat, but they lack in the fast bowling department, in their department, and the way Pakistan is playing, I don't find any threat from Afghanistan. I think we should do it pretty easily and clearly.
Well, you understand, Ali, that the reason Owais is giving them a 9 out of 10 is because he sees a future with them as a bowling consultant.
Because Ali bhai, why did I give 9 by 10? It's because of, I know that. One thing is that, because I was even speaking to Ahmad bhai, if you just go by the aggressive approach against Afghanistan, whether if it's any team, when you hit the boundaries to one of the premium bowlers of them, obviously the other bowlers do go.
So let's be honest, Owais, I know you're a fan of Shehzad. Even I am a fan of Shehzad. We all like how he plays and what he brings to the table. He is very clear. He does not want to work on fitness, but he will deliver. So I think
he took a catch on that.
So such kind of miracles will always work with Afghanistan. But obviously we all agree that Afghanistan is a prime example of a team that has come up from the development phase and now is battling on the biggest stage of the world and has really improved as a side. You've got to give their guys credit, but I think it's all because of the experience playing PSL, playing Big Bash League, also their players going on to play in the IPL as well. So I think these things do matter. As far as Pakistan is concerned, obviously we've got a good momentum. Ali Younis, do you think that Pakistan needs to probably rotate their squad, or do you think going with the same squad ending on a victory is a straightforward plan?
No, I don't think so. They need to change anything. I think everything is going by the plan, and the intent is there. Everything is working in their favor. Even luck is on their side too. So everything is working. Why to change it? I think I really like the intent this time. I think now we can safely say that Babar Azam era has started, because now is the time that we've seen actually Babar Azam come out of character. The way he's dealing with the things, the way he's speaking, there's a different body language, there's a different confidence in Babar Azam that we can see. The whole approach of Babar Azam has changed. So I think these two tours that have cancelled, they've actually really hurt these cricketers too. I mean, I know that we definitely are hurt, but as cricketers, they are hurt too. And with Ramesh Bhai's support, I think they're gonna transform this hurt into a positive energy, and we can see that. We can see that they're playing with a purpose, they're playing with an intent. I think they mean business. There was a very humble celebration after the victory against India or New Zealand, if you talk about, and there were no extra celebrations after winning. So we can actually tell by the body language that Pakistan means business. That is why I say it's not about Afghanistan. It's the way we are playing. I think we are playing one of the. I've never seen Pakistan play like this, with this intent for a longer period of time. So I think that unpredictability tag is slowly going up of Pakistan team because of Babar Azam.
That's very true. I completely agree with Ali Younis. I think this is the first time that we're seeing so much confidence from our side. And why I relate this, because we're used to seeing this kind of confidence from India. That's how they play international cricket. So we're seeing that from Pakistan consistently. So I think it's a great omen as well. We just had a points table on the screen as well. I'll ask our team if we can have that on full screen for Group 2, where Pakistan is. If we can have the points table, please, we can discuss it further, and definitely we'll start a discussion on this. Owais will get that points table in just a short bit of time on full screen. But if we talk about our group as well, we know Pakistan is on top position right now, followed by Afghanistan, then New Zealand, India and Namibia, Scotland, everybody is there as well.
Afghanistan, Namibia,
absolutely.
New Zealand, then India.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. So if Pakistan managed to beat Afghanistan, they're pretty much through to the semi-finals. But we've also got to consider the scenario on the 31st when India is playing New Zealand. So if India or New Zealand, whoever loses this match, is going to, it's probably going to be over for them.
That's the thing. It's interesting, I mean, to just watch on, and I was actually more happy, I would say, than Namibia is about that. And Namibia, they literally played cricket well, I would say. That match between New Zealand versus India, it's going to be a cracker of a game. And
a credit to your favorite team. They had David Wiese in their franchise as well.
I mean,
from Lahore Qalandars to Namibia as a captain is...
Especially that left-handed bowler, I would say, who actually took wickets yesterday. That showed intent, I mean, because I was just watching that match against Scotland, and Scotland is basically one of the, I would say, a team which has played many qualifying rounds in the non-associate nation. Namibia has not played many matches, but it never looked that they were under pressure. They were there, they were hungry to win, and it was a good sign, I would say, the way that they won on. But the real match, it's not a Pakistan versus Afghanistan, rightly pointed, New Zealand versus India. And it's going to be a cracker of a game, because I know India has no chance to do experiments over here. They have to give the 100%, and New Zealand especially, I would say, after coming through a close margin, they know what.
Since you're talking about this, let's just get the points table, and then we'll continue the discussion. There you go, Wes, the thing that we're talking about right now: Pakistan, Afghanistan, Namibia, New Zealand, India and Scotland. So Pakistan manages to win tomorrow, they're on 6 points. Afghanistan will stay at 2, Namibia will stay at 2. Obviously New Zealand, India, whoever wins is still going to have 2 points, but they need to do it at a better run rate than Namibia.
Just leave Namibia. Look at Afghanistan, 100, I mean, 6 points something. So they really need to work hard. It's just not that winning a match. You actually need to win that match with a good average. I mean,
definitely. Ali Younis, your thoughts now on the points table that we've got on the screen. Like I'm saying, that even if New Zealand, India, whoever wins, they need to do it at a better run rate, because Namibia is still very solid at number 3.
It will change very quickly. Don't worry about that. But So we're pretty sure about that. That will change. I think it will be about New Zealand and India in the end. Whoever wins the game will qualify with along with Pakistan. I think this looks the story of this group. Although Afghanistan is in the contention, but I don't see him qualifying because of their inexperience and lack of batters. So I think it's going to be more about them, and it would be very interesting to see what happens that day. New Zealand is a very dangerous side. They would like to finish. They would like to win. They've beaten India almost every time in an ICC event, so they have the upper hand. But then you cannot even write off India. They've got their quality side. They've got batters. They've got bowlers. I think it will be decided this on that day who wins, because on paper they both look similar.
Well, Ali, this is a very interesting point that India, whenever they've gone on to play the semi-finals, which they've mostly done in an ICC event, and if they've been knocked out by New Zealand or any other team, the thing is that they've always beaten Pakistan first. Now, for the very first time, they've lost to Pakistan. Now they're going into a game where it's almost a do or die for them. Do you believe that for the first time, there's added pressure on the Indian team?
They will be, definitely, they will be, because a team with such a huge infrastructure, a team with the biggest league in the world and struggling to get into the into the semi-finals, and a team with probably nothing in infrastructure, with a very small league, beating them with 10 wickets, I think that is pretty embarrassing for them also. They must have that in mind, and even if they don't qualify, I think that would make things very even worse for them. In terms of confidence, I think Kohli will probably, that would be the end of his captaincy anyways. So I think that's a big game for New Zealand and India, and but I do have a feeling that India will bounce back. Although I don't say it 100% because I believe in New Zealand too. But still, the experience of playing in subcontinent to India will be an edge.
Definitely, it would be. Owais, your thoughts?
Ahmad bhai, but one thing, like what Ali bhai even mentioned on, remember, when I was looking at the body language of Virat Kohli especially, I would say it never
Not
looked
too confident, yes.
See, when a captain, remember when the World Cup match was going to start on, and a captain does a press conference and says that this is my last World Cup as a captain, what does that mean? I mean, you're actually denting your team again. I mean, because you're just getting that team morale to just dent out. And even if you just watch out when Virat Kohli was actually as a captain of India against Pakistan, I know Pakistan was going on superb, the way they won on, but still there's some aggression in Virat Kohli what you used to see on. It was totally changed. I mean, no aggression over there. The teamwork, I would say, that lacked. It seemed that same thing what I would say. Even Ali Bhai, please correct me on when, remember the last World Cup what India played in England, I remember they used to depend highly on the top 2, 3 or 4 batsmen that they would perform for them and they carry the momentum for the other batsmen. It looked the same over here, that they were highly depending on top 3 batsmen. When
Rahul, Rohit and Kohli.
Especially I would say Rohit Sharma, when his breakthrough was early on in KL Rahul, that showed that pressure on the middle order, what we had been speaking on, that India's middle order has not been under lot of, I would say, pressure situation. Even the 2 practice matches, you remember, the top 2, 3 batsmen were performing for them. What happened last in the World Cup? So this is the thing I would say for a worry for them, because they have got that, like what Ali Bhai was mentioning, they have got everything in them. They have got that cricketers who can give tough time to New Zealand in this kind of conditions. But this is a big question mark, I would say, playing 1.5 months IPL over there in that kind of conditions, your still batsmen are lacking to score runs.
Definitely, they are lacking, and we'll discuss this further. Time now for a short break, but when we come back, we'll be discussing the World Cup a bit more, and we'll also be moving on to Pakistan Shaheens as well, and the importance of having 8 tours as well, right after this very short break. Stay tuned to Sports Extra. Welcome back to Sports Extra with me, Ahmad Nawaz. I'm in conversation with Mohammad Owais and Younis, and we're discussing the World Cup and Pakistan Shaheens tour as well. So far, just to give you an update, news from Dubai Cricket Stadium is that Australia has won the toss and they have opted to bowl first against Sri Lanka in this very important fixture of Group 1. So that means that Australia still has the upper hand. They'll be bowling first. Coming to Pakistan Shaheens, who had a superb outing against Sri Lanka. That is. And of course, we want to talk about the importance of A tours as well. Younis, how important is it to have A tours as well on a regular basis? And how good is it to see a Shaheen side going on a full-fledged tour?
I think it's wonderful to see. I think these we were lacking in these tours from last few years. These Shine tours were not happening, but I think so. The timing is right. Your domestic season has just started today. Today was the second match that started, and these are young players who need to play their domestic season too. I agree that Shine tours are important. They should be important. But they should be according not in the middle of or at the start of domestic season. You need to play your domestic season probably matches if they can. That is how your domestic season structure will. Because if you take out these 15, 20 people and send them to the because they're all two youngsters. Most of them are young, experienced. So I think this is not a good time to send them to. But after the yes, they should.
Definitely. Mohammad Owais, your thoughts? You've always been a fan of A tours as well.
See, I mean, that obviously gets the youngsters who are actually performing well in the under-19 circuit, I would say, and especially in the domestic structure, who get a chance to represent Pakistan on the tours where, like we were speaking about, they need to travel more outside Asia to build their future cricket. It was unfortunate. Remember, if Ahmad bhai just go last year's, I mean, there hasn't been many tours for under-19s too, I would say, especially for Pakistan. I remember if you just go 6 or 7 years back, you used to have 3 or 2 tours for Pakistan, which actually used to give many cricketers to the Pakistan team. But one thing what even Ali Bhai was mentioning on, I would say one thing, Ahmad Bhai, you are getting Pakistan Shaheens to play against Sri Lanka. That's a good thing with a full-fledged tour. But what is the outcome after that? The guys who actually are strong enough, what you see them for the future Pakistan, they need to be collected in the National High Performance Center. They need to be groomed for the Pakistan team. It's just not one tour and that's it over. You need to send them to the other tours too. I mean, get them groomed for the Pakistan team. Like in the first class season, if you just watch out, we were speaking about Faizan especially.
I got a double hundred.
A double hundred, and it's unfortunate that he wasn't the part of the Pakistan Shaheens because he's one of the figures, I would say, who actually is performing consistently well in the 4-day cricket. And they're the people who need to be part of this under-19s and I would say Pakistan A tours oftenly, and it's just not one tour. They need to at least have 2 to 3 tours for them so they can prepare themselves for the Pakistan national team.
Younis, how would the structure then do you think needs to work on? Top performers of the Kaiser Trophy first in the Pakistan Shaheen squad and then for Pakistan, and obviously players for different formats and of course different conditions.
I think that should be the pathway, and this structure gives that hope to the cricketers, because if you see this 3-tier system, I think it's pretty clear, it's pretty in front of a cricketer. If you work hard, if you perform on certain levels, you will get promotion, and that's how it should be. That's how it happens everywhere in the world, and probably it started here in Pakistan earlier 2 weeks ago. School championship final. It was a great scenes to see the schools coming to Qazabhi Stadium playing a final, being televised. That's how it should be. That is the pathway one should have. A youngster, if he wants to play cricket, he should have a clear pathway. That if I perform school cricket, I'm promoted to cricket. Then if I perform in city cricket, I will be promoted to domestic, and then to Shaheens, and then to Pakistan. That's the way you want to cricketer. I think they will get. But problem is the timing of this tour that I don't agree with, because boys should be here playing season, because this is where you go basically. Cricket, your difficult decisions. This is how it should be. And also, I always I'm the commentary panel for domestic. I saw Fazan Riaz amazing. I think I'm really impressed by I think he's played. 100 he scored 100 in this 100 in the game also. Uh, Definitely one for the future. The way he plays in the mid order. I'm all hopeful for.
Definitely. Some technical difficulties there with Ali Younis, but it was great having him on the show. And probably Owais is still with us anyways. Owais, how important are these tours for guys like Naseem Shah, who have been in the Pakistan squad? We said it was too early, then they couldn't perform, then they struggled. So do you think that they can also use these tours to go back, get in form, work on their techniques, work on their technicalities of bowling as well, work with the coaches and try to get acquainted with the different conditions?
See, one thing I'll tell, if you just compare Pakistan with the England, because I've played against England Lions, and what they have, because even when I was playing Premier League over there, what setup they used to have, rightly pointed by Ali Bhai, was that they used to have that when county season was that no other cricketers was, they're not allowed to play any other leagues around the world. They play county over there. The high performers of that county are into the England Lions. They travel to different countries and play matches over there. That's one of the squad which basically is being prepared for the English team, I would say. That's the point what you need to do up over here. When you have the Kaiser Trophy, look at the high performances, get them to a squad and send them to play to the other countries. But it's again, I would say, Ahmad bhai, it's just not that you just plan one tour to Sri Lanka and that's it in a whole year. You need to at least have 3 tours, I would say.
In a year. Yeah.
And it's one could be in the Asian conditions, because see, wherever you play in Asia, it's the same
as
track,
Pakistan.
it's Pakistan.
Yeah. But you stressed
the
about
the real problem is that when you're traveling to the conditions like Australia and all that, you mentioned about Naseem Shah. See, he was one of the, I would say, premium fast bowlers what Pakistan wanted in the future, and Pakistan obviously needs him in the test match, a tear away quick. But it's a good sign, I would say, that he was dropped off the Pakistan's team, sent into domestic, and now he's with the Pakistani, getting back into the form over here. This is the right path, I would say. Domestic, Pakistan, under 19s of Pakistan A, then you being polished for the Pakistan team. And the school cricket especially, I would say, because I was watching that Pakistan school cricket, the Lahore Championship, the Punjab Championship, I would say. Look at the, I would say, excitement in the school cricket.
Picked up momentum.
And because it's going to be played even in the federal. And I remember when we were discussing about with one of the, I would say, one of the Northern Cricket Associations and about the school cricket, and the, I would say, excitement about schools was one to watch. I mean, they wanted school cricket to be back in for the players. And the thing was that excitement that you had the children sitting up over there, guys scoring 200, I think, runs in the school cricket. Then Ramiz Raja talking to him, that builds the confidence of that child. But again, where is that child? He needs to be groomed for the future cricket. I mean,
definitely identified as well. Owais, thank you so much for joining us on Sports Extra. Before we leave, like we were talking, and Owais also mentioned this point, and so did Ali Younis, I think we need to send out our heartiest felicitations to Faizan Riaz, a guy representing the northern side against Central Punjab in the Qaid-e-Azam Trophy, scored 213 runs for his side, another consecutive double century by Faizan Riaz, and of course he's been absolutely spectacular. And this came at a time when Northern lost their top 3 for almost nothing, because Huraira, Umar Amin and Nasir Nawaz just went quickly. But the way Faizan stabled this inning, I think Faizan Riaz deserves a lot of credit. He's got a great future ahead of him. Hopefully he's in the eyes of the selectors as well. But more prayers to Faizan Riaz. We hope that you keep on excelling, scoring more runs, and making not just your family but the entire nation proud as well. So Faizan Riaz, congratulations to you, and we hope that you continue with these top performances. On that note, from me and the entire team of Sports Extra, it's goodbye for now.